Right. Hi, everyone. I know it's going to be a small group today. My name is Andrea Chiappe. I'm the Director of Strategy and Innovation for a company named Systemware, and we'll leave that now behind us. But we're here for developing new InfoGov leaders. My background is in AI, it's in NLP, it's in advanced cognitive computing. I have since moved over to a lot of business side. I still architect and do strategy roadmaps for our customers. With that said, what I see in the industry is that we're all on that path, that evolution. I don't like to call it like a disruption necessarily, but it's more of an evolution into digital. It's going to continue. It's not going to stop. It just is where we are, and it's going to be where we are, and it's going to quicken. The pace is absolutely quickening. Every board member, every employee, and everything, shout out to IoT, is on a digital journey right now. And it will continue to be on a digital journey. Just like when we were in the Industrial Revolution, we switched everything. On that note, something that's been kept a little bit behind is how we're addressing those changes in our workplace and applying those to the actual people and leaders that are coming up through the ranks. How do you develop somebody in something that's so unstable? How do we look at it to where we can develop leaders for tomorrow who can thrive in an area of turbulence and disruption? And then how can we master all things digitally with the ability to lead without formal power, meaning we're in a hierarchical list state. We've gone to a point where it's now flat. I'm sorry, I'm standing right in front of you. Our organizations now, and this was actually on the 10th, the Harvard Business Review put out a pretty good note on this. And I think that that's kind of a cool thing, that this is a problem right now. How are we developing our next generation leaders? Because we can't continue to think that technology is just carrying us forward. It's not. So with that, we've put together and curated a pretty good panel of experts today, and I'll introduce them. We have Alexander Campbell, who, yep, there we go, who is a records manager, or a records and information governance manager at Cohen and Gresser. And Alexander, why don't you give us a slight introduction? I have behind you your actual formal introduction, but bring us to where you are, who you are, and then also where you think the industry is right now.
Sure. So thank you very much, Andrea. Yep, I'm Alexander Campbell, records manager, definitely working in the InfoGov title soon. Anyways, but yeah, yes, so you can see what I'm most proud of, right? Columbia, I love it. And my role here is the business partner relations chair. That's great. My role at my firm, it's all good. So, and where do I see the industry headed right now? I think, like Andrea said, I think that there is a tremendous amount of change going on, and I think that I'm internal, obviously, at my firm. I think there's a finite number of ways that you can sort of develop new talent and leaders. I mean, really, there's only, in my mind, two ways. I mean, you can recruit and try to attract folks, or you can repurpose some of the folks that are within your organization. So that's just my perspective on that, and there's many ways of doing that. So anyways, I'll pass it along here to
Lance.
To Lance.
Awesome. Lance Elicker is up next, Director of Professional Services for Van Alstel and Farrell. Why don't you go ahead and give us your perspective?
All right, so I think, I kind of have an interesting perspective just based on my background. So my background, I started selling copiers when I was 19, so I don't have a computer science degree. I don't have any of those kind of, formal training. So everything in my career has been kind of a self-taught, self-learning, right? So I've got certifications and I've got those kinds of things, but I think as far as developing IG, a person in IG, whether it's a consultant, it's an internal person. So the way that I developed is I was really bad at it for about 5 years. And I learned from lots and lots and lots and lots of mistakes because I didn't have anyone kind of showing me the way or anything like that. So I think that's first, is being able to give people access to information, because as we talk about information governance, as it's the new hot term, and we don't want to ruin the term and make it not worth anything. So I think what's really important is things like this, what Nick's doing and other and people like Kevin are doing and spearheading, and not only consulting and selling this product or this idea to organizations, but also being able to find other people that we can say, hey, you can do this as well, and being able to give them the ability to access information so that they can grow and not have to do what I did, which was 5 years of less earning and lots of mistakes. So here we are now, and I wouldn't say I'm all the way there, but certainly on my way, and being able to interact with wonderful people like all of you has been really helpful. So I think the future of IG, I don't know, I think it's a lot of disruption, right? I think it's tons and tons of disruptions and doing things the way that they haven't been done before, and it's going to take us going in and being able to provide value to organizations and let them know that this is absolutely something that they need to do proactively instead of reactively. And I think that that's a lot of what we deal with, is reactive decision making. So anyway.
Cool.
I have had a very winding road to get to where I am today in my career, like many people at this conference. My degree is also not in computer science or anything. I was a CS major for 3 weeks. I'm like, I don't really think I need this much calculus at the level I was taking it my first semester. So I dropped that. I did? Oh, well, oops. So I need to go back and take Cal 2 again. My educational background is actually in anthropology and religion and other stuff related to that. Not anything related to our space, except that I learned a lot about people and culture and organizations and how to help them grow. So then I also found myself, as I was getting my education, working in information technology at the university, and progressed pretty quickly through the ranks there, still as a student, but then a staff member, and ended up working at another college, then founded one of the very first web content management companies that existed, and it actually existed for about 7 years as the space was growing. And then WordPress came out and did everything I did for free, and others, I couldn't compete anymore, so I kind of quit doing that. So I started working in a couple of other industries, and now I am a government consultant. I'm a consultant to the government. Let's make sure I get the order right. And my take on this whole industry is it has continued to morph in the time that I've been discovering more circles of people that are really great folks. Like there's so many people at this conference, many of whom I've known through social media, but only this week have gotten to actually shake hands with and talk to face to face. That's happened at like the last 6 events that I've been to, which has been great. There are a lot of people in the industry that are trying to help the industry move forward. I love what Nick was presenting on the first night about this idea of how do you tie all the different pieces of information management and governance and strategy together, and what do you call that? I think we're still struggling with what you call it, but that's what I'm trying to help in my little sphere of influence within the industry to try to get that better. So that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. So who is the new information worker or the digital worker as we look? I was kind of interested in the topic when I was asked to speak on this. I passionately look at organizations who really look at collateral different when you're looking at your employees. I don't believe that we're all there just to be necessarily paid. One thing at Systemware or my current company is the social collateral matters. Allowing me to build my brand matters. So one thing that on Infobox, if you look at what is hit with developing new leaders, all the words in the background, this is our space. Whether retention management, information management, I thought it was interesting to find gamification out here. But they're all coming through that filter of that new digital worker who is concerned about consumerization, concerned about if IT can't get it for me fast enough, I'm going to do it myself, concerned about flexible work. right? I may be inside the boundaries of the workplace, or I might be outside. I might not even work for your organization. I might work somewhere else, and we're just putting pieces together. So it's all about getting work done faster and better. And this doesn't, it's not something that should be lost on as we develop our leaders. So with that said, I'm curious from you guys on the panel what you think the biggest challenges are in a few seconds. So if you can give me a 60-second response on, a few of the key bullets, challenges in bringing up those new information governance leaders. Lance, why don't you go ahead since you have the mic?
Thank you. So I think the most difficult thing about this is that it doesn't fit in a box, right? And I think that that's what we want to do. We need a box to put things in so we can conceptualize. It's got to be a tangible something, and that's why like ECM and capture or take off, because ECM, you can buy ECM packages, and that kind of makes sense. But information governance is just more of a theory, right? It's a concept, and so I think that makes it very difficult because, like Kevin said, it morphs appropriately based on the company that you're dealing with, the circumstances you're dealing with, and what people really need. So I think that that's the toughest thing, is really getting your arms around what is it? Well, the reality is it isn't something, it's a concept. And concepts are different than things, in my opinion. So I think that's probably the most difficult thing bringing people up, is you can't just say, here, go buy some information governance.
So you're talking kind of about the concepts in general, and then also bringing it on to nomenclature as well? Or?
Well, I think that, but kind of going back to what I said earlier about just having access to information, right? It's kind of all over the place right now, in my opinion, and having a kind of central repository would be good. But even that central repository is like Infobox is going to have lots and lots of stuff, but putting a system behind it and building it out, I think, is what is ultimately difficult, because it's still continuing to morph, and it's a moving target.
So Alex, what are your thoughts on biggest challenges?
Very well stated, Lance, on that. I hope everyone in here saw Pradeep today, and that the intelligent design for technology, phenomenal presentation. So I think a little of that needs to happen in firms and organizations where you kind of, we all develop, like Pradeep was saying, these muscles, and we do things repetitively, and we all think we're great at it, right? But then when it comes time to try something a little different, you have these muscles developed that can't really make that adjustment, let's say. So I think it's important to get third-party perspectives, and we have two folks here who offer that on the consulting side, and I know, being internal, I have a wealth of consultants and a network that I try to tap into. So there's definitely that aspect of it. And Lance, you said you can't buy information governance. I want to go out and buy information governance now. I mean, anyways, Kevin. Yep.
Yes, I like that. You can't buy information governance, but depending on who you talk to, some people try to sell it that way. My contention is strategy, architecture, and governance, none of that can be bought in a box or a digital download. Those are things that are unique to your organization and have to be thought through for your business, whatever organization that you have. Now, there are principles that can bind all that together that are universal. And so I think one of the problems is we have, back to my put my anthropology hat on for a second, we have this problem of monocultural myopia. That means you see things through the lens that you have, that I won't say you're born with, in this case maybe the industry that you grew up in. So if you talk to a knowledge management person, everything is about knowledge management to them. If you talk about a data management person, everything is data management. All this other stuff is peripheral to them. When I talk about metadata, they're like, we own that. Well, the knowledge guy said he owned it too, and the woman doing records management said she owns it. Why aren't we all getting together for these things? So I think one of the challenges is figuring out the cross-cuts between the different silos within our industry. And I think, as an information architect, put on a different hat for a minute, I think we're terrible at labeling these things appropriately, even though that's part of what we do as consultants and as internal consultants to our own organizations. So I think part of the key is to figure out, get our language straight so that we can figure out our own marketing message in these groups, and then we can take it back to organizations, sell it to C-suites in a more consistent fashion, So a CIO can be a CIO and not a CTO kind of thing. It's another thing I could talk forever about, but I will pass it on to the next question.
Well, I'm curious from everybody in the audience, how are you looking at being able to shift or be an ambassador to your next information leaders? What are things that you've seen that have successfully led to developing people to move forward? Because I think that that's something that's probably lost, and I think everybody kind of touched on that. We look at things through a specific lens, so I'm curious.